Yay.
Oh, hi.
It should be.
That was quick.
Right? It says we're live. Welcome in, Jules. How you doing tonight?
Hi, Jules.
Hey, Jules.
It's gonna play or not? Hey, there we are. We are live. Nice.
Sure enough.
So, how you doing tonight, Jules?
Hey, Sam.
What up, Sam? How you doing tonight? We're gonna have a board. Nice. Well, we're gonna have a special guest here shortly. I don't know exactly what time, but sometime before the night's over, we're gonna have a special guest come in. Looking for a new job. That too.
That's never any fun.
No, it's not. Sucks. Right? Sam says he's hiring. He is too. He just fired 2 people, I think it was, in the past couple of weeks. That's right. Damn, it seems like I just put these batteries in and I gotta change them already.
You happy?
I put these batteries in last night,
Fuck, see, no
and I'm
way.
still at half. I'm still at half, vaping at 85 watts.
Oh yeah, but you're at 85 watts. I'm at 140 watts currently.
What'd you put in the troll, Jules?
Fucking A, okay. It says weak battery. So I guess that means it's time to change them. I hate having only a 4-bay charger because now the other ones aren't even charged yet. Almost.
I got a little something today, but I haven't been brave enough to wake it yet.
You need to. I think it'll be
I know, but
enjoyable.
I don't know. I put some. I don't even know if I can get my camera to focus on it.
It's trying to.
Some Caterpillar track coils.
Yep. Nice.
Hey, look, y'all. I just joined the room. Yay.
There's the tater.
What was your favorite birthday?
Oh, no, over there. I had to find my other batteries.
That'll happen, Jules.
Yeah, that
A lot.
happens too. And then bought another mod. Yeah. Right.
It's the best way to look for a job, though.
Exactly. Yeah. That's too funny. Sounds like something I would do too.
Sounds like stuff that I do.
I wonder how good this stuff would be. I'm gonna try this out. Remember when I built it? It's destructible?
No. Yeah, actually I do, but yeah. What about it?
It's still built.
Oh.
Huh.
Nice.
So, what am I gonna put it on top of? The noisy cricket.
Oh, you're crazy. Fuck, dog. Fuck, alright.
Why?
Because what's the bill?
It's a single coil.
Of what?
Canthal.
What's it ohm to?
Right, what does it own to?
I might not be building on it. It just rolled somewhere. I didn't see where it rolled.
That too.
Hang on.
Tesla Stealth for $26. Right on. Oh, Jesus.
I got a lot of new toys.
Right? Get some
I really
pretty
did.
toys.
I did get some pretty toys.
I like them. I just wish the reds matched. Like, you would think from the same company they would have matched, you know what I mean? But, I don't know. Welcome in, Tracy. How you doing tonight? At least you didn't do what I did earlier.
Hi, Tracy.
Call in when you're ready.
Our guest might be ready too.
Okay. That works as well.
Hello.
Hello. Then if he's ready, let me know and I'll add him in. Or we can add him in.
Okay.
What you doing, Sarah?
I am talking to our special guest.
Oh,
Yeah. How are you?
good.
How was work?
You know, work.
Yeah, that work
Nice.
thing, you know.
Yeah. How's everybody doing up in the room? Hi, guys.
Not too bad.
So,
Hey, Teresa.
I'm a liar.
Teresa, what did you do, Tater?
It rolled somewhere. I don't know where it rolled, so I'm not using it tonight. I'll have to find it sometime tomorrow when I get off of work.
Oh, that too. I'm sorry.
All right, he's calling in.
Okay.
Hey, Patrick.
Hello.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and they can hear you live. They're gonna be able to see you in just a second. All right, and they can see you now. This is Patrick. He's going to be talking about some of the regulations that are happening, giving us a better understanding of it.
Give me 1 second. Let me plug in here real quick.
Take your time. You're good.
We got all night, buddy.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
All
Loud
right,
and
awesome.
clear.
Yes,
How y'all
sir.
doing?
Pretty good. Not too bad.
All
Nice
right.
to meet you.
Hey, you as well.
Oh, thank you for coming on the
So-
show.
Hey, no worries at all. Anytime. So, I know Sarah, and the gentleman underneath Sarah is.
That's Eben, and then we've got Tater, which,
Okay.
and then we've got Tracy.
Yes.
Gotcha. So, Evan, Tater, Tracy.
Yes.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. So,
Nice
fire
one.
away. Are there any questions or clarifications I can help you guys out with?
Everything.
Yeah, everything. I mean, yeah, I don't even know where to start, really. I guess.
Okay, let's start with this.
Go ahead.
Who do you are you allowed to say who you work with?
Say again, one more time.
Are you allowed to say who you work with and such? Kind of give
Yeah,
us,
absolutely.
let us know.
Oh
who
yeah,
you are.
sorry. My apologies.
No, that's perfectly fine.
I'll give you guys a little bit of background on myself. So, my name is Patrick Chun. I'm the general sales manager for Vapor USA Wholesale, and we are an e-liquid distributor. We're based out of Dallas, Texas. Okay. We have a manufacturing site called Vanguard Manufacturing and Bottling, and basically what we do is we do all the packaging, manufacturing, bottling for e-liquids. We're roughly at around 49 different labels, brands that we're currently bottling. Okay. So the information I'm about to share with you guys is what we've gotten from 3 different law firms. Now what we've done is we've consulted with 3 law firms who all specialize in tobacco, and so they have a better or a clearer understanding, if you will, of how the wording is, because the FDA's played the same games with tobacco in the past 8 to 10 years. They've gone through the ringer from the 80s up until recently. So we're kind of new to it, and what we did was we consulted all three with the 500-page FDA report as far as the deeming regulations, and they've given us the same answers across the board. So we're pretty confident that the information we're sharing as far as clarifying everything is pretty, as far as credible information, okay? Now,
That's pretty cool that you were able to get them all on the same page.
yes,
Yeah.
which is insane because
Yeah.
lawyers they're notorious for holding things back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to pay more to get the right answer. But we did our due diligence. It cost us around $42,000 in total in legal fees and consultation fees to get there. And the crazy part is, and I have to let you guys know up front, is that it still may not be 100%. Okay. Because the way the FDA guidelines are worded, it's very vague, and they did it on purpose. It allows them flexibility to go ahead and change things last minute at any given time. Okay, so we have to be on top of it to see and be aware of any changes or price changes that come up. Okay, because they can and it will happen. So don't be surprised when they do those things.
Okay.
But as far as any clarification on current regulations as they stand now, I do have answers. I'm more than happy to give it to you, but I'm still liable to remind you guys that the best course of action is if either of you have access to attorneys or a law firm, to go ahead and seek counsel with them as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you one thing based on what we've heard from the advice that we've gotten. But then if someone comes to your location, to your store, and they ask questions, it's a more credible answer if you've got your own, form of
Right.
law, attorney or law firm to back it up. Okay.
Right.
Right.
All right. So, you guys want bottling questions, retail questions?
Everything. Like, I guess as much information as you can give us, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're trying. We've all been going through it, but we're trying to learn and yeah. I don't know where to start, really. I guess.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, let's start here. Let's start with retail stores and how these regulations affect retail stores. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, what the FDA's done is they have created three distinct business structures. Okay. You've got manufacturing, which is your bottling companies and your juice manufacturers. Okay. Or your hardware side, and then you've got wholesale and distribution, and then finally you've got retail. So what the FDA's done is has made three distinct categories, and they are now requiring us to operate within those guidelines through those three different categories. Okay, and there are different fees and different registrations and all that's involved depending on what you do. Retail side, you've got the least amount of regulations to deal with. You really got it easy. Okay, and a lot, but the most misinformation exists on the retail side. A lot of people who've got shops right now still don't know exactly what's going on or what they can or cannot do. Okay,
Right.
so if people do ask, the two major things you've got to remember is sampling. There's no more free samples, so people can't come to your store. And it could be a good thing in some instances. You're not going to have people sit in your store for 3 hours, tasting all your juice and leave without buying a thing, right? So now you got to charge them. Now, the thing is, you can't try to outsmart the FDA and say, well, I'm just going to charge them a penny. That's cool. You can charge them a penny, but they're going to come after you because the reason they don't want you giving away free samples is because they want you to be, they want you to charge for every single transaction that happens in your store, okay? So think of your inventory. Say, for example, you purchased 100 bottles of e-liquid. And one of those bottles you're going to put out front to allow people to taste it, right?
Right.
Well, then they want you to at least be able to get back the cost of that one bottle that you are putting out for sampling. Does that make sense? So
Okay.
a penny's not going to cut it. You probably want to do it at about 5 cents or higher.
Right.
So
Now,
what a lot of stores are doing right now is they're doing like 5 cents per flavor, up to 10 flavors, or $1, and then you can do unlimited tasting.
What we did with the store where I work at is we did a 25-cent membership fee, and it's good for a
Okay.
year.
Okay, good. So that's fine as well because now it's not a penny; it's something a little more significant. Okay, so all you've got to do is maintain those payments, who signed up, when, the dates, and all that, and have a separate paper trail. So if you get audited, or if you have an inspector come in and is demanding to see the paperwork to prove your, how much commerce you've done, then you've got that to show. So now you're in compliance. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So be creative, or keep it simple. Whatever it is that makes it easy for you guys to keep up with all the transactions, whether it be samples or any sales. Period.
Okay.
Bottom line, the government just wants its taxes on every single transaction. That's really what it is.
Right. Now you said they want to be able to equate for the price of the bottle that you're sampling. Now is that the wholesale price,
Yeah.
retail price, what price? I mean, depending
At
on
your cost. At your cost.
Your cost. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
So if you're getting a bottle, say wholesale for like $11, and it's a 30 ml bottle, how many samples do you think you get out of it? A single puff is what, about a mil tops?
Right.
So you can get 30 puffs out of it. It's got to be something significant. That's really all they're going for. Okay.
Right.
Now, with that being said, the other major thing is handling hardware. Right. What can we touch? What can we not touch? So here's what we've gathered. Basically, if a customer purchases a kit, like a starter, like a sub-ohm kit or a starter kit, for example, let's say the Kanger top box mini kit. Okay.
Right.
As long as the tank, the mod, and the coils are all in that kit, you can show them how to put all of that together. You can even put the coil in. Okay. Because it falls under education, and that's absolutely paramount for anyone in retail, is to make sure that your customer leaves your store somewhat educated on how to use these products. Okay.
Makes
So
a lot of
you
So
can
if
do
sense.
it's in the box, you can help them assemble.
So if it's a
Absolutely.
kit, you can. But now if somebody came in and bought an RX200 and an RDA, we can't help them.
No, you can separately. You can show them how the RX200 works. You can go through the 5 clicks on, 5 clicks
All
off.
that, okay, and then
The
the
te-
RDA
te-
separately, but
10%.
not together.
Yes.
Right.
So you as the employee or the store owner or the retailer, you cannot put that tank on top of the mod. Okay. The customer can, but you cannot. And here's the reasoning behind it. And it's absolutely asinine. Okay. It is because you're taking two separate products, and by combining it, you've created a third one, and that makes you a manufacturer.
Right.
So by taking this
Wow,
product
okay.
A and product B, putting it together, you create product C.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, it is a wow factor. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that's absolutely stupid. Okay.
Yeah,
But
it's
Yeah.
completely awesome.
so, and here's the most important thing: you got to make sure that the transaction has been finished. You've given them the receipt, and they are the ones who opens their package and asks you for the help as far as putting it together. You cannot
Okay.
open that package for them. Okay.
All right.
Now, can you
So now-
instruct them to do that? I mean, can you tell them that that's what they have? That's the way that it has to go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
This is not a guessing game. You've got to let them know. Per
So if you want
FDA
my
regulations,
help, FDA regulations has you open the package
as the
before I
owner.
can help you out.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
So as long as they open it, and then they ask you for help, and they pull the parts out, you can show them how it goes together. Now, here's what you cannot do: you cannot add liquid to the tanks. You can show them where to put it in. Okay. You can explain how to prime the coils, but you cannot do it yourself. Okay. Because again, if you add all liquid to that tank, now
New
it
product.
becomes a new product again. Okay.
It's fucking
Right.
stupid.
It's basically tampering. Okay.
So
That's
now-
what it comes out to.
In that aspect, the user doing that would become a manufacturer as well.
It's their
no.
equipment.
No, it's theirs. They purchased it. It is now their property. Because they're purchasing it for use. That's the difference
Right.
between a retailer buying it from a distributor to resell, as opposed to its final destination, which is the hands of the customer.
Okay.
Okay.
So, so as you know, you cannot build coils, okay, for your customers. You can sell pre-made coils, but you cannot sell coils, okay.
And you
the
can't
other-
put them in for them.
You
correct?
cannot put it in for them, absolutely. Okay.
Unless it was in the original packaging.
Yes, if it came in the
Right.
original packaging. For example, like a King or sub tanks have the little RBA base, right?
Mhm.
it comes with the little 0.5 ohm coils. You can do that for them because you didn't create it, you didn't make it. It's already in the package.
I was about to ask, like,
Okay.
okay, say my Troll V2, it came with twisted coils in the packaging.
Yes,
Would they
That-
still be able to install that?
they can because it is part of the package. They didn't buy
Now,
it
what about the
separately.
cotton? When cotton comes in there, you can put the cotton through the coils, but if it does not come with cotton, you can't.
Again,
Exactly.
technically you can, and I say technically because that is a part of education and it's part of the package. Now,
You just
the
can't
gray
put juice
area.
on the coils.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So the gray area is this: you could have an inspector come in. Okay, depending on what state you're in, it could be your local health inspector, health inspectors. It could be ATF or whoever, right?
Right.
Depending on their interpretation of those same rules, then you guys might be at bumping heads. Okay.
Except for the
So
cotton.
that is an absolute reality, and we're preparing for it as well because what we've gathered from our information and our research and what we think is right, they may not. And the reason, I'll explain why. You've got health inspectors who are halfway confident in just inspecting restaurants, okay, based on complaints that have come in. Now all of a sudden you're giving them a 1 week, 2 week crash course in the world of vaping with as much innovation that we've gone through just in the past 3 years. They're not going to know what they're doing.
Right.
You understand what I'm talking about? And so
Yeah.
there's going to be growing pains. So just expect it. It's going to
Yeah,
happen.
definitely. There's
Okay?
going to be, yeah.
I want to touch
So,
on this real quick.
Sure.
One of our viewers said, I've heard that you can't tell folks that vaping is a better alternative, but you
Yes.
can tell your story.
And you cannot. That is part of the our Second Amendments that they're stepping on or taking away from us as a retailer, and this is because we are part of tobacco. That's the whole reason we can't say that. Okay. Since they've lumped us in as tobacco, we cannot say that vaping does anything for our health, good or bad. Okay. Because that is claiming that we are able to cure something or whatever, and we cannot. Okay. The customer, they can say it all day till they're blue in the face to everyone. But as a retailer or anyone who's involved in the business or the industry of vaping, we cannot say that it's healthier or that it's safer. So we cannot put the word vape and health together in the same sentence, basically. It's not fair, and I'm not. Of course, we don't have to like it. It's absolute BS. But until things change, until we're given further notice, as of now, you cannot claim that it's better. Now
But
you
can
can have
you-
signs in your store saying, per FDA regulations as of August 8th, 2016, I, as a retailer and a member of the vaping industry, cannot legally tell you that vaping is 95% safer than smoking, but you as a customer can. So that's one way to get around it, okay?
I like that. That's smart. I think all shop owners should start doing that.
So can you tell the person purchasing? Because I work in a retail shop. Okay.
Gotcha.
Can I tell them my story and let them know how it helped me, or no?
Off the clock.
Okay.
Okay, if you're on the clock in the store, I wouldn't risk it. Okay,
Okay.
even
Now,
if
how
they're
does
a
that-
regular. Because I'm sorry.
How does that work for business owners? Can business owners tell their story? They're technically always on the clock. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So again, this is one of those gray areas where the FDA's with their rulings were not specific. They were very specific about us what we can and cannot say, but they didn't attach time limits or anything like that as far as when you're at work in business or not. Because as business owners, you're technically on the clock 24 hours a day.
Right.
Every
Right.
waking hour, you're on the clock, right? So
Now, I was
again,
told-
this is what I mean. Go ahead.
I was told by someone else that if you are trying to sell a product, you cannot say that as a business owner, especially online. But if you're not trying to sell, like if I'm not trying to sell anybody anything, I could tell them my story and it should be okay, theoretically, because I'm not selling anything.
Yeah, you're not selling anything. You're just having a discussion. Okay, say you're at lunch, or you're just talking to someone about how you got into vaping. Those stories can be shared, but you have to watch what you say in the sense that you cannot say that since I've been vaping, I've noticed that my health has gotten better. Okay.
Okay.
You can't mention pros or cons to your health in relation to vaping, but you can explain
Okay.
how you got into it or why you got into it. Okay.
Okay.
You can explain how I started this and it helped me convert from cigarettes, and it became a hobby, and I loved it so much I got into the industry. You know, something like that. But you can't say, man, this saved my life.
Right.
Okay. Since I've been vaping, my tumors have gone away. Since I've been vaping, I no longer have COPD or anything like that. You can't make those claims because there's the FDA is not allowing us to use our research to back up those claims, basically.
Right.
So to make sure that I'm right, we just had a viewer ask, as a retailer, if you have a troll and someone buys one, you can take yours and show them exactly what to do as far as, I guess, building coils and whatever, but you can't do it on theirs, correct?
No. Okay. Again, if you buy a tank or an RDA or any hardware piece and all of those things come together in the package, meaning you didn't buy them separately, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can show them how all of those parts work. Okay.
Okay.
You can even show them how the coils go into the notches and how to tighten it down, all that. What you cannot do is fire it. You can't dry burn it. You can't do any of that stuff, but you can show them exactly where everything goes. Hands on.
Okay.
But what they're saying is, say we have the same shit, and they're wanting to know how to work it. Can you show them using yours?
Yes, absolutely. So if you have your own personal mod, or you've got an open display mod in the store for show, and it's the same exact pieces that they bought, absolutely, you can tinker with it just like it's yours and have them mimic you.
Okay.
That's what I suggest personally, because what it does is now you're making the customer take some form of accountability for the product that they bought. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it does.
Because if you do it for them, I promise you, when they get home, they're just completely forgotten how to do it. And you could have told them 10 times before they left, YouTube is your best friend, tutorials. And when they get home, they're thinking Netflix and chill. They're not thinking about tutorials and looking up old, Rip Tripper videos on how to build coils and all that kind of stuff, okay?
Right.
So, but if they leave there with hands-on training, meaning they did it themselves on their own mod that they purchased by watching how you did it on the demos, absolutely, it'll retain better.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll definitely help with accountability and hopefully safety as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing, I almost forgot. Sampling. You have to have it made. It has to be displayed in your shop somewhere, whether it's on the counters, on the walls. Your policy in regards to your sampling and how you're doing it. Okay?
Yeah, we've got that done already. Yeah.
Perfect. And here's what I also recommend. This is kind of a small stab at the FDA, okay? But I would put down on there any and all consumer questions or complaints, please direct it towards fda.gov and the hotline number, 844, whatever it is. Okay?
Yeah.
So the reason, here's why I'm doing it. It's one thing for the FDA to take all of our calls, being that we're professionals in the industry, right? It's another when John Doe down the street is pissed off because he had an issue with his mod that wouldn't fire, or it's a check atomizer, and you weren't able to take care of it when you used to, okay? And then he's going to call. It's going to force the FDA to rethink their policies and try to figure out an answer that's going to make everyone happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because we are not combustible cigarettes. It's not a matter of taking a cigarette out and lighting it and throwing the butt away. There are components and there are computer chips and all kinds of stuff that can go wrong in these mods.
Yeah.
It's
So-
like the devices, our computers, our phones.
I'm sorry?
Like our devices we use for our computers, our phones.
Yes, exactly. Like, for example, say you guys buy a computer from Best Buy, right? Screen lights up. You don't know how to troubleshoot at home, right? You're calling the 1-800 number. The guy's accent's too strong. You have no idea what's going on, right? So you go back to Best Buy. Does the Best Buy employee take it? No. Where do you go? You go to Geek Squad, right? They are their in-house specialists to look at stuff, and then they're going to determine whether they can fix it in-house or they have to send it off for warranty repairs, right?
Right.
So how does that correlate to retail? Same exact process. If someone has a mod issue, they come, they say it's not firing anymore. You can take a look at the mod. You can go through the button functions. You can take the battery out, put it back in, and troubleshoot it, right? What you cannot do is you cannot take it apart. Does that make sense? If it's a complete part, you cannot unscrew the screws and the housing and look at the chip and redo that stuff. You can't do like hardcore, but as far as like level 1 troubleshooting, you're allowed to do that. If it requires anything further, what that does, that falls into maintenance. Okay, you can take a work order for them, and then you can actually have someone fix it off-site, not in front of the customer on the spot, but like the next day or later that afternoon, or you can mail it off to the warranty center for them, or tell them, hey, you're gonna have to send it to the warranty place.
So if they come in and say they have the top box mini, all right, and it's not firing, can I take the tank off and then unscrew it?
You're gonna have to ask them to take it off.
Oh, ask them to take it off and break it down to see if the coil's
Yeah.
But doesn't that come back to it was all in the same box together with that specific mod?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. In a kit like that, yes. But if someone to come with like an RX200 and a TFV8 tank or something like that, they would have to unscrew that. Okay. And again, all you're really doing is you're just making sure you follow the policies front to back. Right. Okay. As far as what the regulations are. And it may be a scenario where even if it's 2 different mods, since it's already been purchased outside of your store, and they just determine to come back to you for help.
Yes.
It may be an issue where you can touch it because you're not changing it. Right. Okay. Yeah. They're more concerned about you putting 2 things together to make something different, but breaking it apart is not that big of an issue. Okay. Right. But if you want to be safe, you can ask them, hey, would you mind unscrewing the tank for me?
Okay.
All right, that helps. You're talking about sampling for in-house stores and stuff like that. But what about for like we do for shows, for giveaways and stuff? I mean, I know we can't do a giveaway, but
okay. For like, are you talking about like for conventions or like cloud competitions or
no, like for live shows? Like we do live shows each week, and companies will sponsor us, and they'll like right now most of them they're charging $1 to give away their product. You have to pay $1, and then you get whatever it is that they're
or plus shipping.
Right.
Okay, so it's going to come down to like raffle type rules. Okay. So for example, you're giving away say a 60 ml bottle of juice and a mod and a tank. Okay. You're going to have to figure out what the total cost of that is, as far as your purchase price, your wholesale price, or your distributor price. Okay. And then hopefully sell off enough raffle tickets in a way, or have enough people participate for the giveaway thing, to where you get that amount back. Does that make sense? It's just like the juice thing, sampling.
Okay, what about a coupon code? If you were to give out a coupon code.
Coupon codes is from the meetings that we've had, right? They're saying to forego the coupon codes. Okay. If you do it, then you got to make sure that you're right on top of your game as far as your accounting to show what the coupons were, what dates that they were available for exactly what product. Every paper trail has to lead that, because a coupon code basically is you're taking tax dollars away from the government, and right now we're in the infancy of all these regulations. The last thing you want to do is start off in the doghouse by giving coupons and stuff away. I'm not saying that you can't, because you can as long as you're meticulous about it. You just got to make sure that you're able to show with your paperwork exactly every transaction and what they were for. And then
because some of the reason why I was asking, some shows they do give away, like shows like this. Like I just got mine from somebody else. I wanted a coupon code. I had to go to the site. I had to make my own, do everything like I'd go to anybody else's site to buy something, right?
Gotcha.
Choose out what I want, and then at the end there's a place to put a coupon code. Now I still had to pay. I went over on purpose, so I had to show that I had to pay, and then also you had to pay the shipping. Is that okay?
That if it's like an online type of deal, it's a different arena. Okay. So for you, as someone who participated in it and you won this contest and you're doing it, it's not a big deal. Okay.
Okay.
That's for the website owner. That becomes their issue now. Okay.
All right.
So then,
and right now, from my understanding, they're trying to do the FDA's pushing. What they're pushing for is to do away with online sales. Okay, because and I'm going to explain why, and it'll make sense to you. It's you're not going to like it, but it'll make sense. Okay.
Okay.
If you look at cigarettes, they are not sold outside state lines. Okay. Every single pack you purchase has a stamp that says for sale in the state of Texas or
Right.
Arkansas, Oklahoma, right? Well, the internet, there are no boundaries. It is worldwide. You can sell to anyone and everyone as long as they have a PayPal account or a valid credit card, you name it, right? Well, now they're trying to get it to where if you do online sales, you may be relegated to your state, and you cannot sell outside the state lines because it is tobacco, and it is against federal law to transport tobacco across state lines.
Okay.
Okay, so that is a very real possibility. I'm not saying that it's a reality that it's going to happen, but it's being pushed towards that direction. Okay, so
Right.
it really comes down to how our battles go. What type of results we get in our court battles that are coming up right now, to see whether we're going to go towards that direction. It's the same thing with closed-ended systems. That grandfather date, if it truly goes back to 2007, guys, days of this stuff is gone. Or we're going back to what that looks like the jewel and the blue and all that. That's why you're seeing all these companies, juice makers and hardware makers, coming up with these new products, which are like closed-ended systems, because we're all hoping for the best, but they're preparing for the worst. Okay.
We've seen a lot of the vendors that sell their juices and such partnering with these companies so their juice will be part of the cartridges or whatnot.
Yes.
The pre-filled cartridges. Yeah, you're seeing a lot of companies do them, and basically, from a business standpoint, it makes sense because you want to be prepared for whatever the final result is. Okay.
Right.
Worst case scenario, at least you got those products in your store and you can still keep your doors open. Okay.
Right.
Best case scenario, you just got another option to sell. Okay. Me personally, I don't want to go into those cartridges. I don't like the closed-ended systems.
I don't either.
I'm a flavor chaser, but every once in a while, I like to bust my RDA out and cloud my roommate.
Right.
But that's just me. I like thick, dense clouds, right? But then there are times when I'm driving, can't afford to wait for that cloud to dissipate. I got to see the front row, so I'm going for the flavor chasers, right? So, to each their own. We're all vaporists at the end of the day. We all got into it, and for the simple reason to find something that helps us quit smoking, and for the most part, it's been extremely successful, right? And in order to have this option available and ready for all these other smokers, we've got to do our part and spread the word and get as much support behind us as possible, because we've been infighting for so long. Everyone's been trying to undercut each other on pricing, bad mouthing each other, just espionage. We've been our own worst enemy for like the past 3 years, literally. And now all of a sudden they got us when we're at our weakest, and it's like we got kicked while we were down, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I'm really glad you made that point. Me and Evan have been going back and forth, and Tracy even, that we've done this to ourselves. We've ruined it ourselves. We've put ourselves in this situation, and yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, guys. We had so much fun. It was the wild, wild west, right? This was like the summer camp that we all dreamed of as kids. No rules, no hall monitors, right? No parents, and we went out and acted like fools and through all these conventions, and we're just giving product away like it was Christmas every single day. We're having half-naked women modeling stuff you knew damn well didn't even vape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we did all the stuff that everyone else couldn't do, and while we were doing it, big tobacco, big pharma, these big corporations that are against us, they just sat back and all they did was take a bunch of notes, and we created all their ammo for them.
Yep. Well, and it's still happening right now, especially with these regulations, because nobody knows what's going on. We're all trying to figure it out, and a lot of people are calling in and asking, "Is this covered? Is this covered?" Blah, you know what I mean? And they say, "Oh, we don't know. Hold on." And they go, "Okay, click, 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 click," and then they go, "Oh, yeah, that's covered, and that's covered, and that. Oh, and this too." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
yeah,
it's screwing us.
It really is. And the craziest part is there's so much vague, non-specific dialogue. in those 500 pages. If you guys would sit down and read through it, I recommend it and I don't recommend it. It's the most boring read that you will ever have in your life. But
I've tried reading it. It's
you want to pull your hair out is what happens at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because they touch on everything. They're specific about nothing. The only thing they're specific about is the manufacturing part for retail, right? They're very not 100% clear, but they've got a little more details on that. The other thing that they're very specific about is the labels on the bottles. Okay, so if you guys are any of you juice makers, I know Sarah's got a line. Is anyone else?
I'm not. No.
I don't think anyone in the room is.
No.
No. Okay. So
no, I think they're all. Yeah, a lot of them do DIY.
Gotcha. DIY. That's the way to go. Okay.
Yep.
So I'll just touch on it very briefly. Basically, what they've said is you cannot have any images on your labels that the FDA deems would be targeting children. Okay, so no cartoons, no delicious-looking desserts or fruits and stuff like that. It's going to have to be a very plain Jane label. Now think of it as tobacco. You look at Marlboro's lines. They've taken away the words light, medium, red, all that stuff, right? Now it's just color-coded. That's kind of the same thing that they're making this industry go towards. And the labels, they have a template on the FDA.gov website, and it specifically says 30% of that label has to be for warning labels. Has to be for the warning. Then you've got to have all these certain little signs like the skull and the poison and all that stuff. Those have to be visible. The text has to be a certain size and font. And if it isn't, it can fail you on the PMTA process. They can say, you know what? Oh, your text is off by like 1/100th of a whatever.
So it has to be a certain size and a certain font?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and you know, you trace it back all the way back, all these regulations as to who did it, who the engineers were, the architects were for these FDA regulations. It goes back to the shareholders, which are the majority shareholders of Chantix and Nicorette Gum, which is Johnson & Johnson's, believe it or not. It's not Big Pharma and it's not Big Tobacco. Big Tobacco came up, they created Chantix, they created Nicorette Gum. Big Pharma is just the distributors. They're the people who are marketing it and selling it, okay? So there's a dual stream of income for both those industries. And then the shareholders, the publicly traded stocks, the shareholders, it's Johnson & Johnson is the majority shareholder for Chantix and Nicorette Gum. So if you guys understand how that concept works as a publicly shared company, it's no longer about what your employees think. It's no longer what the owners think. All the decisions are based on what your shareholders say. Okay, so Johnson & Johnson owns 90% of Chantix and Nicorette Gum, and they've been losing and bleeding through their nose for the past 2-3 years, right? Mm-hmm. Guess what? They're fed up because now they're not getting any return on that investment, right?
Right.
So there's two ways to stop the bleeding, so to speak. One is they could fire everyone on the staff, right? Or you get rid of the competition. The direct competition that is the result of why they're not making money, that is us. We've been killing this industry and blown up like exponentially the last 3 years. And we are the direct reason as to why they're not making money. So what do? You reach into your deep billionaire pockets and you start creating all these all these anti-smoking campaigns like Truth.org and Smoke Free Kids Association, American Lung Association, all this stuff, and you start feeding them all this false propaganda to discredit us as an industry, right?
Right.
And it works. The general public out there, they have no idea. These people get their news from Facebook. They really do. And whatever they read on Facebook, oh my God, it must be real because it's on Facebook. And that is the mentality and the reality that we're facing right now.
Well, truth be known, it's most vapors don't even know what the hell they're doing. Most vapors don't even know what's going on. It's the actual true vapors that have actually stayed with it for a while and they're not in it just because it's trendy.
Uh-huh.
It's the hobbyists that know what's going on.
it's us people that are here day in and day out that are in
Yeah.
the industry that are involved in. Yeah. A viewer asked, and I'm curious too as a reviewer. We've heard as reviewers we cannot quote the price of the product that we're reviewing. Can you touch on that at all?
That one, I'll get back to you on that answer. I don't want to give you a false answer. Meaning,
Okay.
I don't want to guess on it. Okay.
Okay.
But I'll figure out what the specific answer is.
Okay.
From my understanding, from from the notes that I've got, as far as actual pricing and discussing pricing, unless it is printed on the package, right now it's just a code.
Right.
It's like a code of ethics, if you will, especially like bottles. Hardware is a little bit different. Some hardware companies have put on either the manufacturer's website or on the package itself retail price of, right?
Right.
Most of them don't. They've got it, and the reason for that is because they have tiered pricing on for distribution, right? The manufacturer's like, hey, you pick up to 100 pieces, you'll get it at this price. Up to 500
Right.
pieces, you're at this price. 1,000 plus or more, you're getting the best price. That's
Right.
And so that in itself is what's going to affect how you retail. So good news for manufacturers and retailers. Now, guys, we're going to even out the playing field, if you will. Okay, it's not going to be retail stores buying directly from China so that they can get the lowest price and undercut their competition. Now, what's happening is all manufacturers can only sell to the wholesalers and distributors, and retailers all have to purchase from U.S.-based wholesalers and distributors. Okay. It's going to suck for those of you who built a relationship with these Chinese manufacturers, okay? But at the same time, what it's going to do is you're not going to have too much of this, well, I can get it online for half the price. Well,
Right.
good for you, buddy. Go get it online for half the price, okay? But you come to my stores, you can get it today. You don't have to wait for 2 weeks. You don't have to have shipping. You don't have to have customs. You don't have to have taxes, okay? At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you're talking about $3 or $4, maybe $5 difference. Come on, man.
Right.
That's nitpicking. So it's going to eliminate those tire kickers, basically, is what's going to happen. Because it's going to start, just like we all decided 30 ml balls, premium juice is $22. Now, RX200s aren't going to range from $40 up to $80. It's going to be a little bit more competitive, if you will, that everyone's got to kind of follow through. So,
So it's going to help to even the
stores-
playing field then, somewhat.
Yes. So what it's going to eliminate is this. You used to have premium juice companies who would sell to distributors, right? They all wanted the golden goose to get a big distributor. That was their big dream. And then they go ahead and start selling behind the distributors back to retail shops. So they were getting greedy. And then they're selling it for retail price online, cheaper than you could get it at the retail stores. So they're funneling all the money back to them, regardless whether it's retail price, distributor pricing, and then selling it on their own website. They're kind of biting the hand that fed them, if you will. Okay, so now that they're doing these restrictions on online sales, it's basically going to force customers to come to your stores to purchase. If that makes any sense.
Okay.
So online sales, I don't know what the actual definitive outlook is going to be, but I do have a feeling that at some point we're going to get an update and you're probably going to be relegated to your state, if not regions. Okay, so.
Okay, now I have a question. As for a retailer, and say there isn't not a manufacturer, but there isn't a wholesaler or distributor in their state, is that going to affect them too? Or are they going to be able to buy outside of their state and then sell within their state? Or do
Yes,
you know?
so that's one of those things where we haven't got a definitive answer yet. It's one of those kind of open-ended gray area things, okay? Because you're right, not every single state has a wholesaler or distributor, okay? Some states have kind of a larger a trading district, if you will, where you can go and there's like 5-10 different e-cig like wholesalers.
Right.
Some cities do not have the luxury of all those choices. So that may be one of those things where maybe bordering states can help each other out.
Okay.
But until I don't have a final or definitive answer on that yet either.
Right.
So
Okay.
I will update you guys. I will find out about that as far as states that don't have local distributors or wholesalers, and then I'll find out about the other answers for pricing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Now we know how this affects shop owners and business owners, juice makers, and whatnot.
Mhm.
And we can kind of see how it affects consumers. What do you see the biggest effect on consumers being?
Here's the biggest thing that's going to happen. Consumers are going to see, just like retailers and wholesalers, you're going to see like an increase in price. Okay, and I'm talking about an increase in wholesale pricing, distributor pricing, and on the retail level. And what I mean by that is this: all those hardware companies and those juice companies that are going through the pre-market approval process, you're looking at what, $177,000 plus per SKU just to register the stuff, to pay for it, pay for the applications, cover the testing. So these are not net 30 payment plans. These are upfront fees. So in order to recoup these costs, they're probably going to go up around $1, $1.50 in wholesale pricing. Okay, so be aware of it. It's going to happen, and then that's going to reflect on the retail pricing. You're going to see $22 bottles going for probably $23.50 or $23. Now it sounds like it is kind of a kick in the groin. Okay, but if you think of it as the tobacco industry, what you saw was, for example, myself personally, when I started smoking first in 1992, it was 89 cents a pack. Okay, when it got to $2, I swore up and down on my grandmother's grave, who were still alive at the time, that I was not paying $2 for a pack of cigarettes. Well, I ended up finding $2, and I bought it anyways, right?
Yeah.
But God forbid, $5? No way. That's where I draw the line, right? I am putting a line in the sand. Well, guess what? I found out how to get $5 and actually got my cigarettes. $8, I still bought my cigarettes. Thank God I found vaping, okay?
Right.
So the point is, customers, even vape customers, will learn to adapt with the market. That's the human nature. We all go through a phase where we're going to cry and yell and moan and swear to everything holy that we're no longer participating in this. This is BS. But guess what? If you want to vape, you'll find a way to vape.
That's true.
Let's see.
Now, that's not to say every single line out there is going to be $22 or $23 and stuff like that either. So keep in mind, there's a lot of guys right now in the industry who have started their PMTAs, and they're going to offer it like 60 ml bottles for current 30 ml pricing. Does that make sense? So the concept behind that is from a business standpoint is they want to move volume, and they're no longer trying to maximize individual profit sales.
Right, yeah, because they're going to want to sell as much as quick as they can.
Yes.
Right.
So there are going to be some good things come about it. There's going to be some growing pains. The big thing is, and the thing I'm most optimistic about, sorry, I'm going off camera, I'm most optimistic about is that any of us who are in this industry, if we can tough this out right now, if we can get through this bump or this hurdle in the road, and you're able to kind of be there when the dust settles, we're all going to be in a position to still be able to make a pretty good living if you're in that part of the industry. And I'm also holding out hope that once all the lawsuits and everything come through and the dust settles, I have a feeling that these really restrictive restrictions and stuff that the FDA came out with, they're simply a negotiation tactic. They hit us with the hardest and worst things they can think of, and at some point we're going to meet them in the middle, and we may not be back to exactly the way it was, but it'll be better with fairer, with a little more fair as far as like restrictions and regulations that we've got to follow. So, how that's going to come about, I couldn't tell you, but I do feel like it's going to be a lot better than what it is. Right now, they're just striking fear into everyone's hearts, and it's working.
We had discussed that to a point, saying that they knew that we would try to win some battles.
You're really quiet, Tracy.
Yeah, you're
say it one more time.
No.
Okay, Okay, so we knew that they would try to. Okay, hold on. So what you're saying is that they knew that we would try to battle them with certain regulations. So they set the bar high enough that if they had to lower their standards, they would
Yes,
still be happy.
absolutely. So think of it this way. So you're going to buy a car, for example, right? You go in and you tell them your budget is $20,000, okay? And they're going to try to show you a car that costs $23.95, right? Because the sales guy is trying to get as much money out of it as he can. He knows damn well he can drop it to 20,000, probably lower, okay? But he's going to start you up high. And then you go, no, I'm just going to go somewhere else. He's like, hold on. He's going to play the game. What if I talk to my manager? He's not talking to his manager. He's going to his manager to talk trash about you guys, but I got this one. Or, oh man, this guy's tough. But he has all the flexibility in the world to play around with about $5,000 to $7,000 off that sticker price, okay? But he acts like he's doing such a big favor for you that he's going to get chewed out by his manager, da-da-da. So this is the same negotiation tactic that's going on. They hit us with the worst hammers, knowing that we're going to want something different, okay? And this is what I mean by eventually we're going to meet in the middle somewhere, so it looks like FDA did their job, so that the shareholders who are really pushing for it won some of the battle, and then they're going to let us push back, so we feel like we won some of the battle, but in the end, we're both happy. Does that make? I don't know if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
So negotiate, start high, and then you come back with them with lowballing them, and then eventually we all kind of go up and we meet in the middle.
Right.
But
No, I know a lot of consumers are saying that, well, not really consumers, but just business owners as well, are saying that filing for the PMTAs is basically conforming and giving up the fight, essentially.
Okay, so I understand that mentality. I understand those feelings. I truly do, because it feels like what it feels like saying is, if we file everything and we do everything that the FDA says, we're just basically the lapdogs, right? We're just going to be a bunch of yes people and we follow along. Okay, I understand that sentiment. Here's the issue, and this is the part that a lot of people in the vaping industry, what they don't understand, okay? The FDA, they are salivating at the mouth right now to make examples out of us, okay? So if you happen to be the unlucky shop or the unlucky manufacturer that they decide to make an example out of, it's not going to be nice. It's going to be a public hanging, okay? They're going to slam you with their full power, the full legal power that they have, and they're going to prosecute you, and they're going to shut you down, take all of your assets, and they're going to hang you out to dry. You are going to be homeless overnight. That is what they want, because that in itself is going to go viral. It's going to spread like wildfire, and it's going to put fear into every single person who owns a shop, online business, or manufacturing plant. They're like, holy crap, FDA is not fucking around. They're not playing around. And that's exactly what they're waiting for, okay? The crazy thing is, a lot of these people who have that mentality, like, screw the FDA, I'm not going to follow along with them, that's fine. I advise not to, but I'm not going to stop them, okay? The reason is, some people just have to learn the hard way. And I don't want them to do that. I don't want to see shops closing up because of people being scared or intimidated and they don't know. But what they don't realize is we're fighting the federal government. This isn't your neighbor. This isn't some big business person in your town who happens to try to monopolize something. You're fighting the federal government with an endless amount of money, and who has the ability to discredit you overnight and villainize you and make you look like the scourge of society if they choose to, right? Mm-hmm. So to not play along with their lines and try to beat them at their own game, that's the only fair shot we have to come out of this with any semblance of of integrity and with a pride still intact. But if we fight them and try to fight this guerrilla battle, it's not going to work. My biggest suggestion for the retail side is absolutely do not register your shop as a tobacco manufacturing company, okay? Because now you are definitely on their radar, okay? It's not a matter of if they're going to come, it's a when are they going to come and give you an inspection, okay?
Right.
But if you just do maintain as just purely 100% retail, you guys are safe. You really are. the few rules you got to follow, and you guys are safe, and they're not going to mess with you, right? But it's the guys who refuse and they continue to say, you know what, I'm still going to bottle my juice in the back. I'm going to sell it until they tell me not to. Okay, cool. Now, when they make a public example out of you, you're going to wish you didn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
And none of us want to be that. We don't want to see that happening, okay? But someone's going to do it. Someone's going to push it. And it's that mentality. And I'm not going to say the name of this Facebook group, but there's this one Facebook page in particular, and these guys have that bullheaded, F those guys, I'm not following the FDA mentality, and they're trying to rally everyone to take this rebellious stand. Guys, this is not the end of times. This isn't a zombie apocalypse where we're trying to get a team together to raid Costco so we can be the first one to get all the survival equipment. This is
Right.
This is going to be a long, drawn-out battle, okay? And we need everyone to be on the same side, and we don't need this infighting. Basically, is what I'm trying to get to.
Right.
Because those guys are trying to do this witch hunt and discredit like people like Phil Bessardo and Dimitri and Greg Conley and all these people who are at the forefront, going to these meetings with the FDA, going to meetings with senators and congressmen, telling them our plea and trying to fight for us as far as advocacy. We have our own people trying to discredit these people who are leaders in advocacy. Now, do I know them 100%? I don't. But I know they're doing something, and more so than what I am. I may be going shop to shop and talking about regulations and trying to do clarification, but it's nowhere on the level of effort what those guys are doing. So at this point, they're kind of our leaders for advocacy, and I'll continue to show support. What I don't want to do is get on that bandwagon of extremist behavior where we're like, screw the FDA, I'm going to do everything they tell me not to. So that's just going to guarantee your business is going out of business.
It's like people going around saying F the FDA. It's not helping anything.
No, it's not, and we have enough. Okay, let's be honest here. Society is like 70% idiots, okay? And those are the same idiots that continue to go out to vote to continue to put other idiots in office. Okay, that's just the reality of it. That's the land we live in. That is the people we're around. And when the DNA pool got so muted, I have no idea. Okay, so if they want to be a part of that group and they want to continue to go out there and do bullheaded things that make the industry, let them weed themselves out. That's just Darwinism. Okay, but the bad side to that is they are going to get all the headlines. Okay, it's just like all the things you see on Facebook and on the news about police brutality. That is the tip of the iceberg of police officers in this country, but they get the lion's share of the negative headlines, right? So automatically, our thought process is, oh my God, all cops are bad. No, they're not. If they were, we'd all be dead. Okay? And the reality is they're not. And so you've got this small band of rebels who want to be the face of vape and go out there and they're doing all the stupid stuff. Guess what? The news doesn't care about us who are, walking down on the right side of the hallway, raising our hands, asking for permission. They want to see the rebel rousers, and they're going to get all the headlines, and it's always going to be the idiots who don't know how to talk on camera. They don't know the difference between your apostrophe R-E. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
It's guys who barely passed 8th grade English, and they're going to be the face. And everyone who's not involved in this industry is going to look at us and think, gosh, those guys are a bunch of douchebags.
Well, it's just like the news blows up whenever a mod explodes because someone's misusing it. The news blows it up as far as all vapors,
Absolutely.
It's the same. It works the same way.
Right. Well,
let's not say that he had batteries in his pocket with his keys or with change or something like that. But they just been it in his pocket.
Well, they always negate the part where it was user error. They don't explain what happened. And
like saying battery blew up just because, like saying a car crash just because. I mean, why the car crash? It's user error. Why the batteries blow up? User error.
Yep.
Yeah, user error. Yeah, but because when you have the ability to edit your stories,
oh yeah,
and your videos and cherry pick, man, it's all about the rating. You can make Mother Teresa look like the devil if you put it together correctly, you know.
Yeah.
So it's agenda, and the people who have money, unfortunately, have the influence. So the odds are stacked against us, but
Yeah, it's an uphill
we're gonna
battle.
have to.
most definitely.
Yeah, it really is. Hey, Sarah, would you do me a favor? Will is trying to get on. Do you think you can get him onto this one?
Roll is?
Yeah, Will Brewster. Guys, Will Brewster is a colleague of mine. He works with me over there at Vapor USA Wholesale.
Nice.
We have a viewer that her name is Teresa. She goes, leave Mother Teresa out of this one.
Hey, my apologies. I wasn't trying to discredit her, but simply trying to who has anything bad to say about Mother Teresa, right?
Right.
But if someone had it in this society, who's got the right connections, they can vilify anyone and everyone, you know.
I agree. Let's see. And I had other things I was going to ask too, and I don't even draw a blank.
Oh, no worries. Take your time.
You've actually answered a lot of questions for me. Like I said, I work in I work in the industry, and we've been told to keep continuing to do things the way we've been doing it. And so far, you've made reason. I understand now why they have told us to keep doing things the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
We also have 3 different lawyers looking at it for us too. So
Good. And that's the best thing you can do is have a legal counsel, okay, that you can easily get a hold of, because there's going to be other updates. There's going to be changes, and they're going to be coming, and they're going to be last minute stuff, and it's going to be done on purpose to, again, weed us out and to eliminate us one by one, a little bit at a time, create more chaos, divide us, make us, create more infighting. You know what I'm talking about? And because if we're divided, it's a lot easier to conquer, right?
Right.
That's in history.
Yeah, and when that's part of their plan, and I've noticed that a lot lately, and they're getting people to infiltrate different areas and get each other to argue with each other. You know what I mean? And it's destroying our industry. We're doing it from the inside out, basically.
Absolutely. You had a division in the industry of advanced vapors as opposed to looking down on newbies, right?
Mm-hmm.
These advanced vapors forgot, you know what, you started out the same way, you know? None of us knew how to do this. We all had to learn.
That's
and then
exactly right.
You had cloud chasers who looked down on the people who just like those moderate vapes, the flavor chasers. And then you got people who are like the connoisseurs of vaping, you know, they're the high-end mod collectors and stuff. And then they look down on the guys who can barely afford clones. Oh, and oh my God! Don't get me started with the clones versus authentics. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's this cliquish mentality, and it's human nature. We are hard-grained to align ourselves with something or someone or some cause or organization or group that thinks the same way. For whatever reason, we're just hardwired for it. And then you got
stereotyping at its essence.
Yeah, it is. You know, you jocks versus nerds, right? Geeks and freaks.
Well, what gets me is the people that there's a lot of dual user vapors, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
And the people that the people that are strictly vapors will look down on the dual users. Why? All you're doing is pushing the people who are slowly going strictly towards vaping. You're pushing them away from the industry. So why give a dual user any kind of help? Because guess what? Some people, yes, they're able to stop on the first day. Some people are not. Some people have gone back to smoking and still using their vapor for reasons that nobody else knows of. So why give them shit while, just because you don't smoke anymore doesn't mean you're better than them, doesn't mean you can give them a hard time for being a dual user.
Yep.
Right.
I think it comes down to arrogance and like ego, right? It's like, I can do it, why couldn't you do it? That's the most insensitive way to look at anything. Just because you think it's right doesn't mean everyone else does. The subjectiveness in this industry has gone away, is what's happened. All these people choosing sides and cliques. It's like if all of us went into a shop and we tasted we sample the same juice. We're not all going to taste the same thing.
Exactly.
Right. Most
You know what I mean?
definitely.
I'm
Exactly.
just gonna take a minute. Hi, Will. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
Hey.
Will.
Oh, Will.
Welcome.
What's up, guys?
How are you?
Doing
So,
well.
Will's a little bit late to the party. If you want to add anything, Will, I'll kind of give you a breakdown as far as what we've been discussing. We talked about the regulations and how it affects retailers as far as what they can and cannot touch and put together as far as hardware for the customers. We talked about we talked about a bunch of stuff. We talked about how all the division there is within the industry. We talked about further changes at how vague the wording is in a lot of the regulations, and how it's really open to interpretation, different interpretation, and how it can be changed last minute. And we're expecting those things to happen. Can you think of anything else to add in there that we've been talking about on this conference calls?
No, not right now.
Appreciate it, Will. That's a lot of help.
Okay, let me ask this. Okay, say I am a manufacturer of juice. What are the regulations as far as that?
As far as manufacturing?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad you asked. So here's what those regulations.
Got muted, Patrick.
Yeah, you
just
muted
muted
yourself.
Hey,
Patrick,
Patrick.
you muted yourself. We can't hear you.
That could be VC. Remember, it should do that to me earlier, too.
Did you unplug yourself on accident?
You might have to leave call and come back.
Maybe.
Because remember when I was on the phone earlier on VC, it did the same thing to me.
Yeah.
That was just VC not liking you.
Right.
VC loves me.
No.
Hey, Patrick, I'll add you back into the call.
Yeah, that works. No, we can't hear it. No.
Nope, nothing.
All right, so basically for manufacturers, what it means is you have to, by December, submit yourself as a tobacco manufacturer, which means that
Yes.
you
Yes,
will be
better?
paying
Okay.
10% of your gross sales a month, every month, for as long as you're in business. It also means that you need to have a lab that's ISO 9000, Patrick? Is that right?
Yeah, if it's anything less than 9,000 now, then you got to start making plans to get it to ISO 9000.
Okay.
Minimum is what they bumped it up even higher. It used to be ISO 7, but that wasn't an FDA deeming regulation. That was something that we as an industry. Well, no, let me rephrase that. It's not what the industry did. It was one of the big boy juice companies. Is what they deemed everyone else should be.
Right.
And then the FDA called that, and they raised us to an ISO 9. So that's basically what that came out to.
Wow. See, I didn't even think about that till you said something about it, Will. But you register as a tobacco manufacturer, and you then have to pay in towards that bill that was signed.
Correct.
Wow. That's fucked.
It is. And here's the crazy thing. Say, for example, you register as a tobacco manufacturer, right? It's because you're bottling your own juice and all that, okay? And all of a sudden, it's 2017, and the first inspector doesn't get to your place until June, okay? And now they say, hey, how much, we need to see your paperwork for May to see how much you earned. And you bust out your paperwork, and you did $80,000 in business in May. Pretty decent business, right? And they're going to say, well, now I need you to cut us a check for $8,000 for May. Now. And you say, I don't have it. Well, and they're going to say, hey, and plus, we need to backtrack you all the way back to June, from January. Okay, so you're going to owe $6,000 worth of 10% of your income for every single month in a single check. And if you don't have it, they're going to say, all right, well, tell you what, we're going to be back in about 2 weeks, and you better have the check ready. If not, we're going to shut you down. Okay?
Wow.
So that is another fear, and that's the reason why, and will attest to it, we're recommending that you do not take that chance and register as a tobacco manufacturing facility, okay? Because you're going to run that risk, and it's going to be very, very expensive for you.
Yeah,
It's not a matter
physically, it makes no sense whatsoever.
yeah.
Most definitely.
Unless you're cranking out 50,000 bottles of juice per month. Okay, now you know what? Now you're in that territory of consistent income where you could probably get away with giving 10% of your gross income away every month and still be in business and still make a lucrative profit, right? But if you're not in that level, it's just not worth your time or effort, especially the headache.
Any other questions from any of the viewers specifically?
You don't have any questions for him, sir?
I've talked to Patrick. I've gotten a lot of insight from him.
Okay.
He's covered everything that we've talked about, all the questions that I've had.
I don't know how to word this, but you're saying, okay, do not register as a tobacco manufacturer. Is that an option if you're going to comply?
Comply as in
With
as
the
a shop?
regs? With the regs?
Yeah. It's not it's not mandatory. It is optional. Okay. Now, if you're going to continue as a manufacturer and you're not registered, you're going to be off the radar, so to speak, but only for God knows when. Okay. But you will be off the radar. So it's going to cause the FDA to have to find you before they come to you to figure out what you're doing. Okay. Now, if you register and then you backtrack later, that's going to be difficult as well. You need to let them know ASAP that it was a mistake. I did not mean to register. I look at my books, and it's not going to behoove me to follow through with that. Okay? Because if you wait and you don't say anything, and then they come inspect your place, you're going to owe for all that time that you were registered before you backtrack. Okay? So, again, unless you're making a ton of juice every single month, it's probably not in your best interest to register as a tobacco facility. Because you're going to fall under, if you look outside your door, your store window, if you see any convenience stores around you, smoke shops, head shops, okay, that sell tobacco, those people are on a weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, quarterly, annual inspection schedule. That's how the tobacco industry works. Anyone who's got a tobacco resale license will tell you they're inspected scrupulously every single month or every quarter. Now, that inspector, all he or she has to do is look across the parking lot and go, hey, look, there's a vape shop. I'm just going to go ahead and add that onto my schedule of visits. And now you're on the radar, and you're going to be getting visits whether you like it or not. Okay? So it's a risk. I can't tell you to do either or, but only thing that Will and I can explain to you is what the possibilities are going to be if you do register, and that's up to the store owners or the business partners to decide whether it's something they want to pursue or not. I just don't think it's in the best interest for everyone, at least not right now. My suggestion would be let's wait until all the dust settles, and if there are going to be any sweeping changes, let's wait till those come into play, and then you'll have a clearer road or clearer picture as to how to pursue your business further going down the road.
Yeah, and try and transition your customers right now in case the worst case does happen.
Yes.
To the
absolutely.
premium juices rather than the house lines. You can still sell the house lines, until December, but then after that, that's for 90% of the stores, it's going to be it.
Now, I know we said that we have a lot of DIYers in the room. How is this affecting the DIYers?
Personally, I DIY myself. If you're not selling it to anyone, right now there's not anything that says that you can't buy the materials yourselves.
What about getting a hold of products? How is that going to affect them? Do you think it will? Getting a hold of nicotine and things like that?
I mean, what I'm doing right now is stocking up for myself, buying in bulk right now, so that I know that if it does happen, that I can mix for myself, for my friends, not sell it, things like that. But if you do plan on selling it, that makes you manufacture.
Right. And then someone in the room just asked, what do you think about consumers stocking up on mods, tanks, and nicotine?
I mean, if that's what you want to do right now, go for it. And obviously, no new products are going to be coming out from America, at least, and you won't be able to import it very well from China with, Kangar, Aspire, Anakin, or whomever.
Right.
So
They can still sell it to the people in the UK, Europe,
yes.
things like that, but bringing it over to America is going to be much, much more difficult.
So that just raises a question for me. I never thought about that. The companies that are overseas, like Anakin and like Coil Master and stuff like that, are they still going to be able to import the stuff that they've already made that we already have for sale, or no?
The wholesalers, the people that the regular shops are buying from, they will have to register as a tobacco manufacturer. You, as a retailer or a store owner or whatever, will be able to buy from them, but you will not be able to wholesale unless you have that license.
Okay, so we'll still be able to get products to keep up with the products they already have out there, like all the coils and shit like that.
Right, before August 8th, yes.
Right,
You
okay.
obviously won't be able to sell the coils individually. You have to sell them in the packs that they come, whether it be 5-pack, 10-packs, or whatever. Because if you break them off individually, that
makes the new product.
It's repackaging it, yes.
Okay.
So until the manufacturers, if they haven't done so already, hopefully they did before the August 8th date, if they were to put warning labels separately on each of those little packets on a perforation, then technically you could sell those individually because they've got their own warnings. So they're their own little product. But if not, and it's only a single warning on the outside packaging,
Looks like he lost a little connection. What he was saying was, as of what I've seen, no one has done the individual labeling on the individual coils themselves. And that's what you would need to sell them individually, is that warning label on there. But it says it on the, the 5-pack that you buy from Smoke Tech or whomever. So that's how you would have to sell the coils.
Okay, so is that supposed to be happening right now? We're not allowed to sell them as separate? We have to sell them as a whole, or?
It will start happening in December.
Okay.
Whenever you can't make your own juice and things like that. Whenever you have to register as a tobacco manufacturer.
Okay.
So, get your customers on board right now. Say, for the next few months that we can sell it to you individually, but after that, you're going to have to buy them 5 at a time or 10 at a time, however they come.
Cool.
Sarah, can you add Patrick back to the call?
Yes, I can.
I'll be right back.
Okay,
Just leave us, why don't you? Go ahead.
there we go.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Evan will come back and move him whenever he gets back.
No.
alright. Yeah, I got kicked off. I don't know what happened.
He popped back up there, just like he should have.
Well, there you go. Welcome back.
Appreciate
That's
it.
the beauty of how we do our shows, is when he captures him in one spot, he's there. So
Yeah. Now, I have a question for you. And you touched on a little bit with the DIY. If a company is selling products for DIY, so products that are meant to be combined to create e-juice, do they have to register as a tobacco manufacturer? Or, I mean, how does that affect them is what I'm asking you. You know what I mean? Like, say, Capella or Flavor West or something. For them still to be able to sell their products for e-juice, do they have to register, or does it affect them in any way?
Okay, you're talking about raw goods, right?
Right, yes.
From a retailer's perspective, if they're purchasing these from Cabela's and the other flavoring companies?
Well, like, for me, like, if I went to E-Cig Express right now, well, yeah, I guess for both, actually, yes. Yeah. So, for...
Okay. For DIY, you don't have to worry about it, because DIY essentially, by definition, is you're doing it for yourself. It's not for retail. You're not making a profit off of it. Okay.
Right.
So you're not going to fall under all these regulations. As a consumer, you can buy from any source that will sell to you. Okay.
Okay.
So you can go directly to Cabela's. You can go to Flavor West. You can
It's
go
all
to,
about intent.
Zero Flavor. Yes.
It's all
So your
about-
intention is to do it for yourself only. Now, if you start buying like gallons, you're gonna cause a red flag to go up, and they will ask you, "Hey, why are you buying so much for yourself?"
Right.
And 30 meals a day is probably not going to be a sufficient answer to justify your purchases. Okay. But that's hit or miss. From a retailer standpoint, we can sell VG and we can sell nicotine separately, okay? And then we can sell this flavoring separately as DIY, as long as the intent is for DIY purposes only. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So we could do that. That's one of those little loopholes where we don't have to manufacture, we don't have to register as a manufacturer on the retail side. For Will and myself, because we're on the distribution side, we have to register as a manufacturer regardless. It doesn't matter. So we've got until our company has until December to do so.
So
But,
even if you don't make any products whatsoever, you still have to register.
Absolutely, because we are in the business of not manufacture, but wholesale and distribution, and our intent is to sell to retailers.
Right.
So we
Right.
do have to fall for it.
Wow.
So the retail stores, like I said, you guys have the least amount to worry about as far as a lot of these regulations and especially the registrations and all that stuff.
If
That-
you
that's
don't
what-
have if you don't have house juice lines. So
Yeah, if you don't have house
juice
lines,
lines.
you're a manufacturer.
And like what Will was saying earlier, you have until end of the year to sell it. Basically, whatever you pre-bottled by December, you have a little wiggle room from the FDA to go ahead and sell off that stock. What you can't do is start bottling new stuff after the end of December.
Right.
I mean, I guess you probably technically could if you didn't get caught, but that's a risk you're going to take, though. Okay.
Right.
So
right.
that's you got to keep that in mind. But as long as it's been pre-bottled and it's already pre-done stock, they will allow you to sell that off.
Okay.
So get bottling.
Right.
So
Right?
so getting your inventory bin full now, and then get
Exactly.
yourself there.
Right, because I think in December you're supposed to register how much you have, right? You're supposed to give them an inventory list of what you have.
Yes, they're going to start requiring reports from retail stores on a regular basis, and really what it is they're just going to compare how much you've ordered, how much is sold, and at the end of the year those numbers just have to add up.
Okay.
Same thing with samplings, things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Every single transaction, basically, that's just how you got to think about it.
Okay.
Oh, and Will had brought up another good point was, if you are a retailer and your sole juice business is house juice, and you know you're not going to pursue it further after the end of the year, then this is a good time now to start introducing 1 or 2 lines per month into your store, so that your customers start getting acclimated to it, to get used to seeing it, and then you can start explaining why you're doing that, so that when it finally gets to that point where where your full inventory consists of outside lines, it's not going to be a shock. It'll be a smoother transition when it gets to that point.
Okay.
You can also start introducing them to flavors that are similar to what you already produce. Just saying, hey, you like this strawberry custard, here's another one from a premium line, or so on and so forth. Just so that they kind of get, they know
It's
what to
pacified.
look for and ask for whenever they come back in, once you can't sell your house lines anymore.
Right.
Right. Okay. Excuse me.
So you
Yeah,
guys
I've also heard that some of these flavor companies, I've heard that a lot of them aren't going to stick around because, well, I don't know why. Do you have any information on that? As far as consumers buying from them to mix their own juice?
The flavoring
Okay.
companies already provide to the food service industry, so most of them are going to be sticking around. What they won't be doing is getting their flavors tested for inhalation versus food consumption. And that's
Okay.
what the FDA would be looking for whenever they're testing your juices or whatever, is if the flavors were graded for inhalation.
Okay, so
Okay.
that would affect the manufacturer then you would have to go with a company that has
Right.
stuff that is, wow.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we can't, Will and I, we cannot speak for other bottling companies as to whether or not that's what they started doing as far as their raw goods, okay? We can speak on behalf of Vanguard in the sense that we have got the inhalation approved flavorings already. So our PMTA process is already almost halfway done. We started early, we're just about finished, and everyone we're bottling for also has got everything reformulated with these inhalation approved flavoring. Okay, now
Okay.
that's all fine and dandy as far as the process, PMTA process. Okay, the problem we're running into is now that original formula you were used to, that flavor, is no longer the same. It is different, significantly different. Okay?
Right.
The custard's different, the fruits are different, and what you're going to find is all these other premium lines who are following the rules and doing it properly, their formulas are going to change as well. So it's going to be a whole new batch, new labels, new flavor, same names possibly, but it's not going to taste the same.
Okay, so is that going to affect them with the market freeze? They put out this juice before the freeze happened on August 8th. Now they're going to have to change their recipe. Is that going to affect that?
So
Yeah.
here's what's happened. The way you can look at it is this: whatever stock they had, depending on how much raw goods that they had supplied by the August 8th date, most companies are going to put in 2 PMTAs registrations. Okay, what that is to keep their current recipe and juice going until they sell out of that current stock, and then the second PMTA that they put in was for their final one to meet to be compliant, so they can continue to sell after the August 8th deadline, so they can sell for the next through 2017, 2018, or whatever. So you're essentially looking at they've put in 2 different recipes: the original recipe that everyone is used to, and then the new one that it's going to be compliant with all the regulations the FDA put down.
Wow. So they're essentially
So that-
paying twice the fees then too.
Yes, so that new line is not going to come out until they're sold out of their old stock, basically, is what you're looking at.
So that's going to also increase prices too, because they got to be able to file for that other PMTA.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and so the prices will go up, and that's what I mentioned earlier. The wholesale pricing, they're going to have to recoup those costs for all those upfront fees, and you're going to look at about roughly, what was it they're saying, Will, about $1 or so difference? Right?
Yeah, about $1, $2.
Yeah, it's not
per
drastic,
bottle.
but enough, because they're counting on volume sales that they're going
Right.
to be able to recoup their upfront fees.
Oh, so that makes it even harder on manufacturers than I thought. Welcome in, Mark. How you
Yeah,
doing?
that's something I did not even think about.
Yeah.
No, that makes, I didn't, wow. Damn.
Like, for example, even with us, one of our main lines is called Action Fluid. We've got 3 versions right now that are going through the PMTA process. Our original, the reformulated, and then they got another one called AF, which is just initial. And the reason for that is because they don't know if the FDA is going to say, sorry, you can't have full names, you can only have initials. So we're covered both ways.
Right.
But that tripled our fees, though, as far as what we had to put through,
Right.
just to be able to sell this.
So, wow. So in that case, then you could file the PMTAs, and just because they don't like the way you've titled it, they can reject it then?
They can reject it for whatever they want.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow.
Whether the formula's wrong, your raw materials were wrong, your label was wrong.
The font that you used on your label was wrong.
the font, yes.
Yeah.
That's something as ridiculous as that. But the good news is, they're going to tell you what was wrong, what caused it to fail, so then you can go back and fix it, and then you can reapply. Now, for anyone who's trying to get into this industry on the juice side after August 8th, good luck. So now, the good thing is you've got a clean slate, and you know everything you got to do to be compliant from the get-go, right? But you cannot sell that. That has to stay off the market until you finish that PMTA process, and that could be 2 years, to be 3 years before your product ever reaches the market.
Wow.
And so that goes back to the FDA and Big Pharma and Big Tobacco trying to stifle our innovation in our industry. They're trying to prevent us from getting too far ahead as far as, coming out with bigger and better products.
That's why you saw Kanger, Aspire, Vape Forward, all of them coming out with all-in-one devices on like 11:59 on August 7th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
and a lot of those devices look horrible.
Right. Yeah.
They do. As the vapor that I've become today, there's no way I could go back to a device like that. There's just,
Yeah, I hear you. I think Aspire had a pretty interesting one I saw the other day where you've got your regular sub-ohm tank, and they got a separate base for RDTA, and they got a squonker tank, and then you can go to full-on RDA with a cap, all in one box.
Wow.
Now, how good it is, who knows? I don't know. Nobody knows what the performance is going to be on those, But these guys are trying to put every single different type of tank device into one box, and they're selling it all at once.
right.
So, because the PMTA process now for them is just one single PMTA for all of those because it's one package.
Right.
Right.
Smart on their end.
Now, another question that I have, like, say you have a mod with upgradable firmware. Now that it's past August 8th, for them to release a new firmware upgrade, does that mean they have to file a whole new PMTA?
That's an excellent question, and I don't know the answer to that. Will,
Okay.
either.
From what I've heard, it seems like it would change the device if, say, you had an RX200 in your shop, and a new firmware upgrade was available, and you sold that to someone. That would be, they could go in and then change that device itself. So it seems to me that would be more on the DIY side of things, because that's something that you're doing yourself versus something that is already in the package. Because
Right.
those ones that ship to you already have that firmware on there.
Right, but I'm saying like if right now Wismec was to release, they figured out a way to do 300 watts on the RX and they released a firmware that did that. Would they have to file, or could they just release it even though their product's already out?
I mean,
They're not selling it though. It's available on the website. So how does that work?
right. Well,
Right.
they're a Chinese manufacturer. They're not based in the U.S., so they don't have to follow the FDA regulations because they can still sell brand new products to anyone in Britain, Germany.
Right, they would just
Asia,
have to limit us
whomever.
then, limit access
Well,
to us then.
I mean, you would just log onto their website and they wouldn't, tell you
Wouldn't
not to.
Right.
But
To me, it fall into the category of aftermarket, right? Because you've already purchased the thing, you've been using it, and they just gave you an announcement saying, "Hey, we've got a basically, like you're saying, just a download or a firmware update, and now it'll be able to change it." So, in a sense, technically, you don't have to take anything apart on this to do the change. It's simply
Right.
just connecting it to your computer. So.
what
Again,
they wouldn't be able to do is to send you new RX200s with that updated firmware, because that would then change the product.
Okay.
Okay, so what you're saying, like, if they release an update, they wouldn't be able to pre-install that update on a new product. They would
Right,
have to
or
come.
whatever.
It would have to ship with the old firmware, and then
Right. As far as I'm aware, I don't know 100%.
Right,
This I mean, it's a bunch of guesswork right now.
That makes a little bit more sense, though.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well, you guys are helping a lot. You're clarifying a lot of things for us. So
Oh, yeah.
Tater, I think you're muted.
he probably is.
Yeah, he is.
All right. You look like you're just trying to say something.
He talks to himself a lot. We just
You guys
ignore
know
it.
sign language?
Right.
Anyone in the room, if y'all have any questions, like I've been saying, post it up and we'll relay the message to them.
Yeah, most definitely.
I think I'm tapped out on questions. There's a lot of information to process. and to go
I'm
through.
sitting here trying to process everything right now, and I'm sure that I will have more questions. I'm right offhand.
And feel free to send us a message or an email or anything like that.
Well, and that's something too. If you guys get any updates or any more information, you're more than willing to come on the show anytime and help to relay the information to all of us. So we
Absolutely.
greatly appreciate all of it, all the information you can give us. It helps.
You're
You've
muted again,
answered
Patrick.
you've answered a lot of questions for me for damn sure.
That'll work.
There we
Yeah,
go.
you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
But yeah, just like Will said, reach out to us. You can basically if you go to our Facebook page, basically USA Wholesale, the members of the office is there. Contact us, ask for us, email, text, whatever method you prefer. And
Can I
anything
go?
comes up
Can I
later.
go ahead and print on BC?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Add me on to
Alright,
VC,
sweet.
and you guys can contact us anytime.
Yeah.
And
Nice,
we're more than happy to answer whatever questions we know. If we don't know it, we'll tell you, and when we find out, we'll update you as we find out ourselves.
I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, anytime. So
Thank you,
basically,
Patrick. Thank you, Will.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us on here. This is kind of fun.
We do it every Tuesday and Thursday. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah,
That'll
What you
work.
should do now is you should go ahead and make you an account for Cam Up and just come on in.
right.
Right?
It's actually pretty damn addicting. I'm gonna say that.
Yep.
Because before Will and I were doing these conference calls on GoToMeeting, and heard a bunch of voices, but we weren't seeing any faces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this makes it so much easier with VC. You can
Oh yeah,
see everybody.
absolutely.
And she said Tuesdays and Thursdays. Guys, if y'all ever want to come on here and talk for any reason you think you want to, we're always available. I know I am.
That too.
So, I mean,
Yeah, that works.
any day of the week, honestly.
Yeah, and I'll help kind of spread the word if you guys want some more people joining in. Just
Most definitely. Yeah, we're definitely.
that'll work. I feel like we're like YouTubers, you know what I mean? We
Right.
get on YouTube and get those conference things going on. And,
Well, the best part about this is this will be on YouTube.
oh, awesome! That'll work.
So,
Well, it
yeah.
all
Get ready,
shows-
Will. We're like big celebrities, bro.
Right.
Okay, Patrick, let's not take it that far.
I feel like he's the voice of reason over there.
Yeah, thanks.
Will is. He is. He's the calm, collected. I get kind of animated, and he brings me back to reality. So
Do what I can.
We're a pretty good team.
Well, no, it's good to have you guys here because you can you both have the information, but you can relay it from different aspects. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So it helps
Right.
helps me at least to process things and to understand better.
That'll work. But hey, I had fun. I enjoyed it. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot of information.
It is. It still is.
It really
and,
is.
and they can still change. And as they do, we get our updates, and we'll relay it back to you guys, so you guys are on top of it as well.
Well, thank you very much. It's
Yeah.
a big help. We've been looking everywhere trying to get information, and there's so much. It's this way, it's this way, it's this way, and nobody really knows what the hell is anything. So
Absolutely.
They're so vague with so much of it, and then they're so excruciatingly detailed with the other parts of it that
The
it's
most
just
mundane thing.
yeah,
right.
it's
Yeah,
Well-
just between the four of us sitting here, because we have Sarah, who is juice maker,
Uh-huh.
Tater Chip here, who works in retail, and me and Evan were consumers, DIYers. So all of our aspects were going, okay, but what about this?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just talking.
Right.
Yeah, retailers, again, and I can't stress it enough, it's you guys have the least amount of restrictions to really deal with. Matter of fact, if any of you have thought about going into retail, getting a store, this is the best time. It really is. It seems like a lot of turmoil, but you have so many businesses that are really closing their doors and getting out of it because they just can't deal with this stuff. This is the best time to get into it if you're looking to get into it. Get yourself established and just ride that wave, and you're gonna make a pretty good living out of it.
Yeah, half of them don't even know what's going on. Patrick and myself spent 2.5 hours at a local store, and they didn't even know what Casal was.
See, and that's horrible.
I know,
It's mind-boggling.
and it was
I don't. Yeah, and that's the worst part about it is there's so many companies and so many different groups of people that have no clue what the hell is going on at all. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And
Yeah.
it's
They really don't, and they're getting it from the customers. They're calling other stores, and it's bewildering because you would think there's this great concept out there. The search engine called Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever it is that you like to use, and it doesn't take a lot of effort to type in keywords to get these answers if you want to do it yourself.
right.
But I guess that's a reflection of most people in society is they'd rather hear from someone else who's already done all the work
Yep.
without verifying whether or not they truly did the work, or if they're just taking it from other people, which essentially comes out to being rumors, you know?
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
so there's a lot of misinformation out there, guys. We're trying to do our best with the people that we can get in front of and clarify as much as we can. But again, ethically, I have to tell all of you guys, take our words with a grain of salt as well. Do your due diligence, find it out yourself. If you have access to attorneys or a law firm, again, get their professional opinion as well. So the more information you get from credible sources, the better off you are.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
All right.
Well, thank you guys very much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it again
Absolutely.
next week.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
Have a good night.
You too.
And if you come up with anything else, hey, just let us know, and we'll get back to you.
I sure will.
Thank you for joining us.
I'll be in touch with you, Patrick. Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right,
Have a
thanks,
good
guys.
All right. You too.
Bye.
Bye. Well, guys, that's a lot of information to take in all at once, but yeah, it's good information. And like we mentioned a moment ago, this will all go on YouTube. So if there's anything that you missed or anything that you want to go back and be able to watch again, you'll be able to. So,
Guys, if y'all have questions or y'all want more information, let us know.
yeah,
We
and
I felt insignificant. He answered a lot of my questions.
he did too, and yeah, he did wonderful. But and that's something too. If you guys are interested, or there's something you want to know, I'd much rather you come to us and ask and let us go find the information than go and try and get it from the FDA directly or listen to some hearsay and something that you don't know. You know what I mean? Let's try and keep the information correct. It'll help everything in the long run.
And also, if you know of other advocates that would like to speak with us,
Most definitely, yes.
that would help.
Yep. Trying to gather as much information and as much everything as we can.
And Milo, I will say your name so you'll be on YouTube once again. There you go.
Right. Yes, Milo, you'll be on YouTube.
And thank you guys for showing up and sticking around with us. Love you guys, Jules, Tigress, Sasori, Rick, Bam. I don't think I've seen you before. Welcome. Wildstar, Titch,
Right.
Harley. Thank you guys for showing up and sticking around and listening to this.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it shows that you guys actually care. You know what I mean? You want the information. You're not just here for giveaways and prizes.
Right. It makes me feel a touch better about the DIY side of it. I know we were all kind of scared of that part of it.
Yeah, I feel more confident about it now, too. You
Yeah,
have to excuse me for just a minute, sorry.
be that way. Sarah, what you think?
Well, did you have anything else to throw out there?
I mean, I think that's about it from me. I really enjoyed talking with you guys, and yeah, I'm a DIYer myself, so that everything I've heard so far is so far it's good for us who know how to make our own juice. For our friends, family, people who trying to get off cigarettes, but they can't find that perfect flavor yet. They want a vanilla pipe tobacco, but you know, we're able to help them out with that. So yeah, so far on that side, it looks good so far. Again, if we have any more information, we'll definitely be able to tell you. But yeah, it's with the FDA, a lot of this stuff is just a matter of intent. You know, if you intend to sell, then you're a manufacturer. But if you intend to do it yourself, and some friends may come across it and take a bottle of juice from you, then, you know, it's not on you. So
That's right. Capella had business with the food industry way before we came along.
oh
I'm
yeah,
quite certain they're not.
Loran's and all
Flavor
those
Apprentice,
guys.
yeah, Flavor Apprentice and all those companies like that had prior.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Just like what was it not Vapor Skins, but J-Raps.
Yeah.
They were a company way
Yeah.
before this too. They wrap cars and all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, mods is actually just a small part of their business.
hmm
Although I know it's fun for them because they all vape. I've gotten to hang out with them, but
Oh.
yeah.
Well, if any of you guys are going to be at Vape Showcase in Dallas tomorrow, I will be there.
Nice.
I'm
So-
debating on going or not. I'm not sure yet.
Unfortunately, I have to work down here in Houston, so
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, looks like it's going to be a
Fortunately,
fun
I'm
time.
across the country.
Yeah, well.
All right. Well, did you want me to go ahead and remove you from the call, or you want to chill out and hang out with us?
I mean, I'm down to hang out. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Nice.
I don't know, we're typically kind of boring.
Yeah, it's okay. Me too. So.
Yeah, Virginia's half a world away too.
Yeah.
Y'all think y'all might show up to Vape Mania in Charlotte, North Carolina?
When is that?
Next
September
month?
23rd to 25th.
I don't know if we have plans right now, but you know, I'll talk to the boss man, see if we can't take a road trip or something like that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I know we have Vape Blast scheduled for early next year that we'll be sponsors of. So
Right
I
on.
think that's going to be in Oklahoma at the WinStar Casino.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do y'all have a booth at You just said it tomorrow
At
in
Showcase?
Dallas.
No, we do not. I will just be there as a consumer. But
Okay. Okay.
He's going to have all the fun.
yeah, exactly.
That's what I'd be going for.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a lot of I'm looking forward to the Modders Gallery. It's kind of stuff that I'm very interested in. So.
I would be if I had the funds.
Oh yeah,
All I
no,
go
I'm
through is
I'm just
scroll
I'll
and
be looking. So. Yeah.
Window shopping.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right. I'm not sure if there's going to be or not.
Going where? What?
The WinStar, there's going to be an event there, another one?
I believe so.
I believe so.
Right.
Yeah.
As of now, I'm pretty sure that's what they're telling us. So.
Nice.
The
got a
gambler
few
and candy's
offerings.
coming out.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Well, see if you win big, you might be able to buy a nice mod. So you know.
Right?
Right. Oh, I already
No
know
more window
Candy's gonna
shopping.
go and she's gonna buy it. She's gonna get something she likes.
Yeah, she gets damn mad.
All right. How many you up to, new Candy? 32, 31 or 32, something like that.
Probably 34.
Could be, yeah.
Will, are you actually in the room?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't see chat, so I'm not sure.
No, you're probably as a guest, and guest is
Oh,
turned off.
okay.
I just sent you the link on VC, or the whatever on VC. That way you can hop in and see chat, and we're not seeming like we're crazy.
Yeah.
I forgot Vape Blast was at WinStar in April.
Yeah.
They do quite a few events there, actually. Windstar's a dangerous place.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of money there.
Huh. Never been there.
As soon as Evan cuts Cass, probably because he's pretty prompt on this kind of shit.
That too. Well, read your VC message I just sent you, Tracy.
No.
Please.
I sent you some last night.
Read it now.
Thank you.
That's true, Evan. Didn't think about that.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we already. Yeah, okay.
You
we'll
were
talk
wondering
about
about
Right.
inadequate ventilation. See, I don't know, Candy. I didn't go back in April when they did it at Windstar before.
I don't know.
But it's a smoking casino, so that doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, considering vaping does create quite a bit more.
That's true.
Right.
Windstar's a huge place, though.
You'd think they'd have the ventilation to be able to do it.
Well, I know that was an issue with Vapor Slam, where they're going to be holding Vapor Mania in Charlotte.
Right.
They assumed because it held car shows that it was going to be adequate ventilation, and it was not. But they said they have made adjustments to that for this coming up event.
Good night, Teresa.
All right. Good night, Teresa.
I know we had clouds over Dallas last year, and they made us stand outside for quite a while to clear it out.
That's funny.
Yeah, we had quite a lot of fun at Vapor Slam. The fire alarms kept going off. Everybody
That kind of
cheered.
goes back to what Evan and I keep saying, though, is we kind of, all of us, I believe we're all guilty, is we've lost sight of what we started vaping for, and we've turned it into a hobby. So whenever we go to events like this, we don't think about the starter vapors, the people that are just quitting smoking. We focus on the clouds, we focus on the flavor, we don't focus on that anymore.
Yep.
And it's sad. We need to. Everyone needs to open their eyes back to that.
It's sad.
We all started somewhere.
Not only sad, it really pisses me off, especially when people look down on somebody else because they're not using the type of device that they're using. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's horrible. We all started this for the same reason. It doesn't matter what type of device you're using, as long as you're using it to not smoke. That's the main thing. I mean, that's...
The funny thing is that we didn't all start vaping to
That's
quit
true.
smoking either. We started to better ourselves, whether it was getting off of addictions of other things. It wasn't just cigarettes that we started vaping for.
That's true. And like I told you, I think once upon a time, I knew a gentleman, and he actually used to cast on the other platform, that he smoked as well, but he had quit before he started vaping. And he started vaping because he got diabetes, and he couldn't eat the sugars and the sweets that he wanted to be able to eat, and he gained a lot of weight because of it and whatnot, and it helped him to lose weight and helped him to be able to curb his cravings for sweets. And then, yeah. So
As a diabetic myself, I can absolutely attest that my sweet tooth has absolutely gone down with vaping. So, yeah.
well, that's good though, and that helps.
Yeah,
that helps your
absolutely.
life. You know, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
But on that aspect as well, that's another thing that Big Pharma's losing out on, because they're not having to put as much. They're not having people needing medication, and you know what I mean. It's
Right.
cutting money out of
Quite
it.
as much as before, right?
Right, exactly.
The insurance costs are going down and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome to the chat, Will.
There he is. Welcome. Well, it's been about 2 hours, so is there anything else anybody wants to touch on?
No, I think I'm good.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming and hanging out and sitting here and listening to the information and soaking it in. Like I said earlier, it really shows that you guys actually care about the industry. I seen a few names pop in, and when they realized that we were talking about what we were and not doing giveaways, they left. And that's cool. But I'm glad you guys stuck around. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you.
Have a good night, guys.
Next week.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
I guess we'll tell if I clicked the right thing.